Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Truck Talk and Time with Jesus. Just fiddle around with that fan a little bit and shut it down so it's not so noisy. So, this is going to be a very interesting video. A little bit different than the other ones that I've been doing. And basically, the idea of this video is to let you see yourself sometimes. You know, we can go very quickly in being judgmental. We can go very quickly into falling into gossip. We can go quickly into thinking that our bar sits up here and everybody else's sits down here. But the thing about this is, where exactly do you sit? How many arguments do you think you've gotten into with a child, a spouse, or a friend? And sometimes people say things like, good example for myself. A lot of people take my facial expressions, or someone takes the way that I pronounce something or say something. And I always tell people, you'll know when I'm mad. You'll know it. And I don't make excuses. I ask God every day to control my temper. I ask God every day to make sure that I'm where I'm supposed to be at in the walk with Him. So, that being said, you can come up into judgment. You can say what you want, and that's okay. I'm God's. The Lord's been sitting with me and working with me on how to just sit and be quiet, to not retaliate back. And I said, Lord, sometimes that old me wants to come out, and that old me wants to give an earful. But the idea of it is we're not supposed to. He says we are to forgive, be a person of few words. Sometimes it's very hard to stand there and listen to somebody tell you a bunch of stuff that even sometimes you might even know that it's not true. But people are going to say what they're going to say about you. And the whole incredible thing about it is you have to trust and believe that Jesus is eventually going to bring them back to what they have said. And through that, eventually they're going to look at what they've said about you and they're going to go, man. But you might even get people in your life that just like what we like to say sometimes, sweep things under the rug. They might just simply go to sweep it under the rug where they don't ever have to apologize to you because they feel like they don't owe you one, but they expect you to give them one. Well, what's the good word says? Do unto others as you want done to you. Just because you do something to others, you would expect it back. But if you put your expectations real high in life, you're always going to be let down. But if you keep your expectations low and don't count on things happening, then you're never going to be disappointed, right? So, how many of you have ever been in an argument and someone says, if you could only see your facial expressions? I've been there. And then sometimes you go, man, and sometimes your wife or your husband gets upset because there's like, well, if you would just seen how you looked, it scared me or something like that. You see that right there? Woohoo. I'm so sick of Pennsylvania. I got stuck 2 weeks in a row because of Pennsylvania. Unbelievable. Last night I really had to stop, and the roads were getting bad, and it was just snowing. And then I had to beat on a guy's truck this morning because you ever notice when you go in the rest area, you got the truck section, you got the car section. Sometimes they're at an angle instead of like this. But they're at an angle like this. Well, there's so much dang on snow. I pulled in the very last spot thinking, okay, it's a giving. Nobody's going to pull and make room in there. It's this guy squeezed in between the curb line. So he's obviously, when he was backing up, he realized because he's bumping up over that curb, he had to bump over that curb to get to where he was at. But he was blocking, like if somebody was to come straight in this way or somebody was leaving. I was like, this close. I don't know if you can really see it, but I was like this close to coming up to the front of his, and if I would have kept going, well, guess who's in trouble? Me. because I didn't stop. I didn't get out and look. I didn't go through the procedures that we're supposed to go through. Because obviously if I can see it and I know it's going to happen, I shouldn't be continuing to move forward. Well, the bad thing is then I get stuck. So it's been a heck of a morning. I didn't make it home. And, and it's like, it's not my fault they send you out there. But I guarantee it, I'm not taking no more loads on a Monday, or even on a Tuesday. I'm not taking any more loads that's sending me, unless they can guarantee it. The whole thing's a mess. Anyways, let's get back to where we're at. So, you don't really understand what you look like. How would you, unless somebody's videoing you? What's the chances of that? Arguments, I don't like them. I don't like to go to bed angered, because anger just goes into the next day before you know it. You can have 4 or 5 days without even talking to your spouse, your child, or whatever. And, sometimes with kids, there was an incident. Darlene's youngest daughter, she got mad at me about something, and she told my youngest daughter, I'm not even going to talk to your dad. I'm not even going to talk to him. So we get in the car, and I go to take her to work. Take her to school, and she put her headphones in, and she just, all the way down. I said, okay. All right. Well, do one to one and do it as you do to others. So if you do one thing for somebody, you got to do it for all of them. I always told my kids, I'm dropping you off back here. It's not that far of a walk to there. I'll get you as close as I can, so you could just cut up in there. It wasn't that far of a walk, people. It really wasn't. I could go in there and spin around. It was just easier for me to get out, because I still had to drive to work, because the levy didn't pass for the school buses, and the high school kids and stuff, well, they basically either had to walk or somebody had to take them to school. So I'd drop them off at school, then I'd head to work. Problem is, that puts me getting into work late, and I got to work later in the day. But, sometimes kids don't realize that stuff. They don't understand. They just think, well, Dad should be doing this and Dad should be doing this. Or, I remember the day my son come riding, he wanted the bicycle so he could build his leg. It's like, ride a bicycle, you build great leg strength, especially you want to play football. Got to be fast. It depends on your position, what you're going to do. You need that speed. That builds your speed. I know. I used to ride bicycles all the time. That was part of my boxing training. I loved riding bicycles. Even when I was a kid, I loved riding bicycles. Kids today, man, you have a bicycle in there, where's the motor? You want me to pedal this? I think that's why they made electric bikes, because people was like, oh man, I'm going on a bike ride today. And you realize they got an electric bike. No, the bike's taking you for a ride today. That's about what the whole length of that deal. But anyways, so he comes whipping in the driveway, throws the bike down. Now I'm mad because I'm on the phone, and I just pulled in about a few seconds. I haven't even walked in the house. I'm still on the phone, because when that house, certain places you go, you'd lose service. So I'm talking to this person on the phone, and I said, let me call you right back. I walked in the house, and I said, excuse me, what did you just do to that bike? Oh, I'm mad. You should have come down and picked me up. And listen, I don't know your practice was over. I was coming home to check on your sister, and I was coming down there to watch you practice. But you just don't throw something down on the ground like that. It could be worse. You could be walking. And, to be honest with you, I don't even think he went out that day to pick it up, to be totally honest with you. I really don't think he did. But that's besides the point. But it's just weird things that when I start doing videos and stuff, I start thinking about little things that pop back up in my head. And that goes into that forgiveness. It goes into, disrespect. The Revelation speaks of it. It speaks all the way through the Bible about how kids are going to disrespect. The end times. You go into lately Isaiah. The Lord's been having me read out of Isaiah. Every morning I wake up, He's giving me a verse out of Isaiah. And I'm like, today's was weird, but it was like kind of weird, but it made sense for this day because I was going to need comfort in this day. And because I was really sad, especially when you call your spouse and, she's, I felt bad for her because she was really let down. She says, every time I get ready and and then I feel bad, and and then I'm miserable all day because I just feel like I let her down, and and it just sucks. There's a lot of stuff out here that you risk every day, and you gotta. Trucking is a give and give. You got to keep giving to it. It doesn't really give back. It just I should say take. It takes and takes and takes. It doesn't give really much back to you. So that being said, arguments, nasty. It's just Satan loves it. Satan loves to get people to argue. Satan loves to get people to flare up, and because it usually causes hurt. It causes people to break up. It causes quietness in a house. It causes discomfort in a house. I can go down the list of things that people arguing and fighting about. And most likely, if I would have to say, if I'd have to put a order of my first 5 things that most people argue about is money, their spouse's friends, how much time they spend in the house, how much time they spend on phones, and I would say how much time they spend on themselves. Being, do you go to gyms? Do you hang out with your buddies? Do you hang out with your girlfriends? I would say, to me, that would be probably the top 5. I might be wrong, but I'm dang sure I'm right about money. Most people's arguments start with money. And I don't understand it, Like I've said before, for the majority part, Darlene goes into most of the places I go. There's a couple things that she'll browse through there real quick, but then she'll go look at shoes or makeup or clothes or whatever. Something, isn't it? The whatever place. It's that whatever section in the store that gets everyone lost. And when you say, what are you looking at? Whatever. You're going to be like, what the heck? No, but seriously, I don't mind going into stores with her. I don't mind going to clothes stores, shoe stores. I even went into that one store. It's nothing but makeup. That was kind of bizarre. I got real lost real quick, Even though I would go buy stuff for my daughter sometimes, but a lot of times I would take the empty container with me, and I'd walk in the store and be like, I need to steal this. I'm looking for this, and they're like, oh, okay, come on back here, and they'd help me find it, whatever. It's like I get amazed by this. I got this thing for Darlene one year for Christmas. It has a black tray like thing, and you put all the brushes and they stand up. I'm sitting there thinking, how could you possibly use? I feel like I'm down there painting my models or something, or I was back when I used to pinstripe cars. You literally have to hold your hand and just like flow with it. When I first started pinstriping, I used to hold my wrist I would hold my hand like this, and I put on there and I just move with it. But I would take like a sharp pencil, and I would pencil it where, however designed or whatever it was supposed to be like. And sometimes when you got up by the key and stuff, sometimes you would put that crossover line, and the line would come up, and then you put like a little. Never mind. If anybody's used to the old school cars, you'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But it was holding the wrist tight. And the thing of it is, it's like even painting, just coming through. I used to call it dancing. I would picture myself dancing as I was spraying. Or the fact when I used to take, the mixed martial art parts, it's like Taekwondo type thing. Most Taekwondo is basically dancing. When the guy that originally told me that, I was like, are you serious? It's an actual, and then they started making moves and stuff out of that. I don't know if it's true, but it sounds. I mean, if you ever watch them dance, and they come in with and then you come in with the. I mean, it's like it could be true. I don't know. I'm not gonna argue with the guy because most likely that guy could kick my butt. Why would I argue with somebody who's gonna kick my butt? You just don't do it. Anyways, so I came up with this idea once. How can I see what people see? Unless I'm filming myself, or unless, like I said, somebody's taking a video. Back then, there wasn't a whole lot of videos. You know, there wasn't stuff like that. But then I said, okay, I'm going to go stand and argue. And this happened a lot with my ex. I didn't really care what she thought or what she seen. I mean, I really didn't care. But one day I just wanted to go see because her oldest son's, I don't think they ever got married, so it would have been his girlfriend, said that I kind of looked like a peed off Elmo because I would turn so red. So I'm like, all right. So we got in an argument, and I just happened to be moving towards where Amir was, and I just stopped and I stared at it. And I'm like looking at it going, huh. And I remember a guy telling me once that he says, man, you're the only person I know can smile at somebody and attack them at the same time. I never recalled ever smiling at people before I would get in a fight with them, but I guess I did because I've had a lot of people tell me that. So you'd be surprised when you're arguing and you're looking in a mirror. Yes, I know it's pink. I'm okay with my man who, no, seriously. If you just sit there in a mirror while you're arguing, that's pretty cool. Hey, look at CG. You guys see him? Look in the mirror. Look at him. He's laying on the pillow. These double-sided mirrors are pretty cool. I didn't realize you could do all that. I've lost my mind. Oh my goodness. That's pretty cool. I was like, ooh. It's the alien abduction. It's the space creatures coming to get us. They're coming to get us. That's what they're coming to do. I'm telling you, they are. Oh, don't believe that stuff, people. I mean, don't sit there and believe that aliens and all this stuff's coming. And when Jesus is standing among that cloud, you're not going to see no spaceships or anything else. You're going to see people ascending up into heaven. How in the world are they going to claim it's an alien? I don't know. I don't have the energy to sit and think about a lot of people's theories on things, and not even back in the day. I mean, I was always fascinated by sci-fi movies and stuff like that, thinking, there could be a possibility these things are out there. I mean, who just comes up with ideas like this? You look at Star Wars, you look at Star Trek, you look at Battlestar Galactica. Somebody asked me once, do I believe man ever really stepped on the moon back when they said, I don't. I don't think Neil Armstrong really stepped on the moon. I think it was all photoshopped. I don't think we really had... I think we had the technology. I just don't think it ever really happened. I could be wrong, but I seriously don't think it did. But then again, that's my opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to your thoughts. I just really don't think so. Let alone some of the, even some of the footages that we have of the Earth, how I really don't understand. My thing is this. I guess let me put it to you this way. There's some people still believe the Earth is flat. Okay. And then we go into the thing of gravity where they're like, well, why doesn't the water just float off? Because of gravity, because of the way the Earth spins. And the Earth spins, keeps the gravity. Like, you think about how much of the Earth is actually filled up with water. The Earth is mainly water. If you really take a good long look at it, then you think of the ozone layer, which keeps. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could just sit there and go, why is Earth the only planet? Why would God restore? If this planet was such a disgust, I mean, that he flooded it. And then you think, was there so much water in the time of the beginning of time? Because you think about the Great Flood, and you think about how tall some of the mountains were, and they were all underwater. For Noah to rest his ark on the top of the mountain where Noah's ark is, you think about the height of that and the depth of how all that water that had to be under them. So it doesn't surprise me that we find stuff that's thousands of miles down or deep, whatever you want to say, in underwater still. You look where Moses crossed, and you think about when it parted the Red Sea there. You think about that. That was deep. I mean, I forget how deep they actually said that was. But you'd have to look at a wave like this of separation for them to go. Think about it, if this was all water and you're this big walking through the bottom of this. When that water collapsed, and you wonder why Pharaoh's and all them and his army got wiped away. I mean, think about it. I don't know if people actually think about this stuff, but I sit and think about this a lot, especially when I'm driving. I mean, I got hours to keep myself amused. And so I sit and think about that stuff. Not that has anything to do with arguments or anything like that, but yes, even sometimes you can argue with yourself and talk yourself out of stuff. Just like you can talk yourself into things. Like I gave the examples before. You concentrate on a bag of Doritos before you know you want it. You concentrate on candy bars, you're going to get it. You concentrate... I mean, you'll even get up and put your clothes on and go back to the dang on nearest gas station or something to get whatever you were after. Some of you may say, no. Well, some of you got really strong willpower. I used to. But when I really want something, I'm going to get it. Not so much these days, but I used to. Especially where I used to live, and the drive to the nearest... we had a little country market-like thing. I could go there, but they were so outrageous. I hardly ever went there. Only time I'd go there... Heck, I used to go in there and buy. Oh, the slush puppies. Anybody remember those? They actually still have a machine in there. They actually still have the machine today. I seen the sign the one day when we turned to go down to Walmart and stuff. I was amazed. I was going to stop in there to see if they actually still had the machine. Slush puppies, man. I love those. Those were the best. I can't remember how much they used to be when we were little, but they were actually really good. But anyways, so taking time. Sometimes you gotta take time to enjoy each other. Basically, it can't always be what you want to do, and you sure can't expect your spouse to always want to do what you want to do. It's got to be a give and take. Just like I said with the truck. The truck's just take. If your relationship is just take, and it's all about, you're arguing about money, you're arguing about, when the bills are due, and all these kind of things like that. And I would say most likely, the most people that I know that does that is the person that the other person might not be working. And that's usually when that argument starts. Because they feel they're superior over the money, they're making all the money. I know people that actually say, this is my money, their money, and they pay certain bills, and this person's pays certain bills, but yet they're married. Right. But it always seems to come out to where the person's paying the house payment is paying the larger sum compared to utility bills. Because, think about it. I think ours is like $1,400. $1,450 or something like that, some outrageous thing, because it just keeps they keep raising. They told Darlene the last time the reason why they had to raise our insurance or whatever, for the price of wood. I'm like, I'm about to crash a tree through it just so they got to spend money to fix something for charging us outrageous. The price of wood. They told me the one time when I talked to them, because the inflation and stuff, the cost of labor and materials and all this, and then I forgot we actually did have a shed back there, and she was talking about, but the price they even include for the shed. I'm like, that shed's falling apart anyways. One of them, the metal ones, the kind of smaller ones. The door's plastic piece was broke when we first moved in there. And I'm thinking, it'd be my luck that nothing ever happens to it. I'm hoping something falls through it so they have to come out and replace it and put a brand new one in. Hopefully they get me a nice big one. Because so much money we're spending on it, they could get me one with an AC unit in it. I'll be out there in my little man shed. But anyways, compromise. We got all kinds of games at home. We buy games, and a lot of times we don't even play them. I mean, we just got this new Uno game that I got. I think Darlene might have got it for me for Christmas. She got me a bunch of Star Wars puzzles for Christmas last year, and we still haven't got them all together, but we got mounds of puzzles. I mean, we got all different kinds of puzzles. We got a football one that's shaped like a football helmet, and it's got all the teams and stuff in there. And then there's some that, we like to put together, the ones that have like the sceneries and all that with the water. I love the Christmas themed ones where they got the snowmans and the snow and the wreaths and all that stuff out. Man, I just love putting them together. Especially the cars. She'll buy a lot that has cars in it, like in the shops and stuff, and the old school cars, and that's pretty cool. But we like doing that stuff. So we'll do those, and we'll just sit there and talk. Sometimes we'll have popcorn, and she makes she uses the kernels and she puts it in coconut oil. And the coconut oil, you don't need butter or nothing, because it kind of gives it a butter, like, it's weird. It's like the strangest thing ever. She put some salt on it, not a whole lot, because I'm not supposed to be having a lot of salt. And I feel bad that she cuts down on things, and I mean, most of her eating habits are totally different to mine anyways. Back in the day, when I was still training and stuff, we would have got along really fine when it came to food. Because, I mean, I didn't eat the way I eat today, which explains a lot, right? You think I would be eating different because of being in this truck, but, I don't know, man. I love food. I love cooking. I mean, I'll bake, and, Thanksgiving, I got off Tuesday, put the turkey and stuff on, like I said, and was cooking. By the time Darlene got home, I had everything ready, and we sat and just ate and went in there, watched some TV, and just enjoyed the rest of the day. And then Thursday she was off because she was off on Thanksgiving, and all we did is heated up some leftovers, and we had Thursday done. I mean, we didn't have to cook or nothing. It was already done. And it was nice just to be able to just spend some time together, And, I've had a lot of people get upset because of saying I go shopping with her and go into shoe stores and go all this, and I don't like to do that, Listen, sometimes you just do it. I mean, what are you hurting? I mean, what are you really hurting to leave your phone alone for a while and open your hand up like this instead of like this? Put the phone away and spend time. Spend time with your wife. Spend time with your kids. Pull out a game and just throw it on. Them board games, your kids are going to be like, what in the world is this? Well, let me show you how to play this. I actually had Darlene go to the Benz with me one time. She won't go back, but she did go one time. It's not her thing, but to me, I mean, I was happy. I was excited that she went in with me. I really like going to the Benz. I wish I still could go, but then I'd want to buy more toys, and I really don't have. Well, I actually do. I do have a couple shelves that I still got to put stuff on, but I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I'll figure it out. But it's about examining yourself too. Like I said, go stand in front of that mirror. When you're arguing about something, just try to get in front of a mirror. Oh, CG again. Just try to get in there so you can see what yourself really looks like. And when you feel like an argument's coming on, if you know when your spouse is about to start picking an argument, you know when that's coming. This is what I started doing. I started thinking of a song and I would sing it. And the song that sticks in my head is Jesus Loves the Little Children. And for some reason, that song just makes me think of myself as a little child and that Jesus loves me. And if Jesus loves me, how should I be reacting right now? I shouldn't be saying words that's trying to hurt somebody because they're hurting me with words, or they're saying stuff that's not necessarily true. People, you know when you see something that you're not for sure of and you allow the devil to take control, like your spouse. If something pulls up on their phone and you see it and your brain goes to something else, you realize you are no better than the people that started falsely accusing your spouse. You're doing the same thing because you're automatically assuming, your brain's going into that assumption, if I'm pronouncing it right, that you're just assuming that's exactly whatever your brain is telling you. And it ain't so much your brain, it's what's whispering into your brain that's already there and what's whispering to you that you automatically jump on that bandwagon. Well, when I've had enough, I've had enough. I'll go off on it. I don't care, because at that point, but I shouldn't do that though, because I'm not guilty. But it's the fact that nobody's giving you an opportunity. When you don't give somebody an opportunity, I mean, I don't care what comes on Darlene's phone. I honestly really don't. I don't care if she gets a text message or whatever. Most of the time, I'll grab her phone and take it to her, because it could be one of her kids, it could be a friend, it could be anything. I don't care if she goes up and hugs a guy. I'm not insecure. It doesn't bother me. Because let me tell you something. No matter how you treat somebody, it doesn't matter, good or bad. You could treat somebody 100% respectful every day and do the very best by them every day. It doesn't mean that tomorrow they're going to be there. It's true. You may say, well, that's crazy. But the only thing you can do the next day when if she decides, I'm not going to be with you, and I'm just speaking women at that point, they decide they don't want to be with you, then be thankful for the days you had. Same thing with your children. You know, something bad can happen. You know, these days, people texting and driving, people on computers, people putting their makeup on. I seen guys shaving. I seen one lady putting makeup on, steering with her knee, literally had her knee moving her steering wheel, putting makeup on, drinking coffee, and then she was looking down at her phone and probably texting or whatever she was doing, and I'm sitting there going, looking ahead, looking at her, looking ahead, looking at her, looking at the red light, looking at her, and I was getting ready to blow the horn and point up ahead. I mean, right when I was reaching for the air horn, she was seconds from slamming into that car. Then the car behind her almost hit her because she had to suddenly slam on the brakes. And let me tell you, I say this all the time. You can ask Darlene, she'll tell you. If that was to happen, I'd pull that truck over and I'd wait for the cops and say it's her fault. She caused that person to hit her. And it's not even about following too closely, because if you're looking at that light and you're paying attention, and all of a sudden somebody stops dead because they're not paying attention, you should not get in trouble for rearing in somebody being falling distance too close. You shouldn't. I'm sorry. You deserve to be punished for that. Just my opinion. Doesn't mean it's right. You may disagree with it, and that's okay. You know, it's like kids. You know, we have to teach our kids. We got to teach our kids responsibilities. We got to teach them chores. We have to teach them to respect things and give them a good growing up background, and hopefully it sticks with them. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. But you got to hold your head up and go, I did the best I can do. You can't help it that Satan's out here filling their heads full of nonsense, and with all this craziness that's going on out there right now with genders and pronouns and all these things, you know, you just got to hope it's going to be the prodigal son theory. In this case, the prodigal daughter too. You know, people love to blame somebody else for their problems. That's what's great about it. You know, and you know, I when you're falsely accused of so many things, and you never really have an opportunity to go to that person face to face, because it's seldom will that ever happen. And really, these days, I really don't even care to even speak of it. I just assume let the water done passed under the bridge, and it's done. It's gone. I don't even want to hear about it. I don't want to talk about it. If somebody starts bringing stuff up, I'll just excuse myself from the conversation, because I'm really, I'm tired of. I guess I'm tired of trying to defend myself, if that's the best way to put it. And that's a lot of argument, because you get tired of listening to people say stuff to you that's not true, and you just eventually start lashing out. But we shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't allow it. You should be able to sit down with your spouse. You should be able to sit down with your children and tell them, hey, look, what you're doing right now that's not how I raised you. You know, I look at it this way. I don't care how old your child is. If they're living under your roof, there's rules. Well, I pay rent. I pay this. I don't. If you want to go do whatever you want to do, you're still going to respect the rules of this house. I don't care if you're paying rent. I don't care if you're paying for food. I don't care what you're doing. You're not going to come in at all hours of the night making noise, waking people up. You're sure not going to invite a bunch of people over to be laying all over the place and doing nothing. No, you want that kind of lifestyle, there's the door. Go find it and go get what you want. Because I never was a big fan of that. Still ain't today. I can't stand a bunch of people just laying all over the dang on place, and it just drives me crazy. Probably because I used to go to work all the time, and I'd come home and there'd be 2 or 3 people crashed out inside my apartment because they knew where my key was. And then they'd wake up after their drunken chaos mess. Oh man, I hope it was all right. Well, what do you want me to tell you? No. You know, I want you to pass out somewhere, and then you get in trouble. The cops come and take you to jail. I mean, I'm mean, but I ain't that mean. But you know, I've always tried to do the right things, and sometimes being the bigger person is doing the right thing. You know, it takes 2 to argue, people. And that's why I said, go argue with yourself in front of a mirror. Go argue with yourself, and eventually, when arguments start, if you argue with yourself, I mean, literally, go pick an argument with yourself and yell at yourself and get mad. Think of the last thing, even if it's your spouse. Think of the last thing you got an argument about, and I want you to focus on that and start yelling back what you yelled at them. And watch the way your face changes. It may sound silly, but I'm telling you, it's going to make you really not argue so much, because the way you look. Because we are a people of sight. You don't want someone to see you in a way that you're truly not. I guarantee you, most of you are really good people. I tell Darlene all the time, don't you get like that. Because I don't want people to see her like that. Because she's not like that. Me, on the other hand, I don't really care. There was a guy not too long ago at the pantry. He was told to go show up there to go volunteer. Nobody told her that this guy was coming. She didn't know who this guy was. And he's out there because they got these monitors and it's got different cameras and you can see what's going on. By the time I was back there talking and I was back there making drink bags, and by the time I realized this guy was yelling at her, getting all crazy with her, I opened that door and that guy's scooting back away from the door and I'm looking at him. I said, it's time for you to go. And he's just looking at me, and then after I shut the door, he starts throwing his hands up in the air, and I was like, that's it. You know, it's like I'm already in fight mode at that point. And as soon as I went to open the door again, and I started pushing the door open so I could see him, see where he was at, because I lost sight of him on the cameras. I didn't know where he was at. And he was already starting to head out of the parking lot. And I'm thinking in my head going, you know, and then this other lady that's supposed to be a Christian, I go back there and she goes, I don't like it when you do that. I wish you wouldn't do that because these people can come back with guns and everything else. And I said, are you serious right now? I said, are you that terrified of a gun? You're supposed to be a Christian. Why would you be afraid of death? The only way you should be afraid of death if you're going to hell. And she just stared at me like she could not believe that I told her that. Well, what? Why not? What's wrong with me saying that? Just like I used to tell my kids, Dad, you don't understand. This is what they called me. Are you that? No. Then why are you offended by it? Because they said this to me, Dad. Listen, I love you, and I'm not coming against you. I'm just saying you can't. Then you must believe what they're telling you to be offended by it. And then they sit there and look at me sometimes like, then, Dad, well, what they say about you, listen, there's not much people can say about me that I haven't already heard, okay? You know, and sometimes my thoughts were like, don't forget I was married to your mom. According to her, I was the bad person. Right. Anybody that knew the situation knew better. Even the kids, they grew up watching it, but yet their way of looking at life is totally different. And it's like, you know, the only thing I can say is it led me to the pathway where I'm at, and it led me to where I'm at today. And through that, all the chaos that goes on and everything goes on, it just teaches me how to rely on Christ more each day. And each day I try to be a better person, and each day I try to do the right things. I try to help people as much as I can. I mean, I've talked to people on the phones, sometimes it causes a little bit of problems even because, like I had explained to Darlene, I was like, look, this is what God has called me to do. And I'm no different than a pastor sitting there talking. And I've actually had people tell me, well, you're not a pastor, so you shouldn't. Nor was John, nor was Mark, nor was Peter, nor than any of them. But we are disciples. We are to go out there. If you're going out there preaching to somebody and talking about Jesus, you're no different than a pastor. So why does people come against me by saying because I talk to people? Because you automatically think, I don't know where half these people live, and I really don't care where they live. Sometimes when I ask you, goes, hey, where do you live? Because I'm always curious in case I'm going through there and one day, I'm a name and a face person. How many people are really like that? I mean, I truly am. I like to see what people look like. I like to know about people, their personalities, what people like or dislikes. And I'm a weird person, I guess, then, because, I think people are just too judgmental. I just think, it's like people take things for granted. People will look at things and go, huh, because you take something in your mind one way. Is that really what you're wanting? Or is it something that you're, because of the way I make comments back about stuff? Well, what if it was? What if it wasn't? Does it matter? Or does it matter? Because you could tell a lot by people just by asking them questions about their question. And my thing is, I had a person not too long ago, he sent me this real long email. And he was like, you're kind of a hypocrite, and I think a lot of the stuff you talk about, you lie and all this stuff like that, and talk about you would never date again, wouldn't do this, wouldn't do that. And I said, well, I have said, unless the Lord brings somebody into my life. I can't, I could go off of how I feel about it. I mean, do I really want to take the time to go through all the years? I mean, I'm not an easy person to live with either. I'm more mellow today than I was even back then. I mean, I'd come home and clean the house. I'd come home and polish the floors. You literally, if you ever seen Risky Business when he slides across them floors were that polished. I mean, you literally could get in your socks and slide down the hallway. I pulled the refrigerator out, clean behind it. I mean, it was just, and you might think, well, that's nice. No, it's a boring life. That's why I did that. Bored out of my mind. I always had to be finding something to do. And that's the truth. There was weekends that I was miserable. You wanted that interaction. You wanted to talk to someone. But the job I had, it was very demanding. Because like I said, I worked two different companies, but I worked in the same building. That was the only thing good about it. I didn't have to hurry up and get out of there to drive to another building somewhere and then work my second job. But I wanted to divorce so bad that when they asked, do you want child support? I looked over at her and she's like, well, it's up to you. I'm thinking, no, it's not. Because I know if I say yes, you're not going to sign those papers. And I would rather struggle than not get those papers signed. Now, she may have paid it. I don't know. She may not have bucked up against it. I don't know. I wasn't willing to take a chance. I'm not, I tell people all the time, sometimes you just got to take a chance in life. You just got to take a chance in life and see where it takes you. It may not always work out the way you see it, but it may work out the way that you see it. You don't know. Some people will look at a situation and go, man, that's the perfect marriage. But then when you see them inside of a home, they don't even talk to each other. What a great marriage that is. It's all show. Very convincing. Because, it wasn't like I was trying to bash her down all the time. But there was times that I would really get that tongue going. And that's why I like that song, that Hallelujah song. But it's the Shrek version, not where Shrek's singing it. It's got the four guys singing it. And when that part goes, I learned how to I outdrew somebody that outdrew me. Speaking about their tongue, that's exactly what that song is talking about. I've learned over the years back then to outspeak someone, and I could break someone's spirit down real fast with words. And I mean, I actually seen some people. You could just watch like that Thanksgiving Day balloon just going. Some people call it witty. Some people call it humor. No, I wasn't trying to be witty or humor. I was just trying to embarrass them and put them down. Because my reputation, I was so great. That's arguments are ugly, people. There's nothing nice about an argument. There's no need in an argument. You should be able to sit down with your spouse. You should be able to sit down with your children and reasonably sit at a table and just talk. This is why I'm upset today. You know, and it's like there's times that I'll make a facial expression or something like that, and I have to explain to Darlene, look, I understand what you're saying. I'm not mad at you. I'm not upset with you. Please don't take it this way. And it's not her fault. I mean, you know, when you go through what she went through too, you know, she's been through a crazy. I mean, it was like her ex and my ex could have been. If them two would have been married, they probably would have killed each other. I'm serious. I mean, it's like crazy how similar our past relationships were. You know, and it's crazy. You know, I was just talking to a guy today. He called me up and was telling me he was arguing with his wife today, and he felt bad, and he hasn't got a chance to call her back yet. And I said, well, what was you arguing about? And he said, I can't believe I'm telling you this. I said, well, sometimes it just helps to talk it out. I mean, you know, but you got to understand, if you're going to tell me, I might not side with you. I might not see it your way. I might see it their way. But you got to understand, that's the type of person I am. He goes, yeah, I understand that. That's why I called you. I said, what was you arguing about? Well, I found out when she was in high school and she was at some parties and stuff, she slept with a couple of different guys that I didn't know about. And it's like when I just got real silent. You know, I was sitting there listening. I said, first of all, you didn't even know her in high school. Second of all, did you tell her about all the girls you slept with? No. Why the hell would I ever do that? What's that mean? It means you're spazzing out of something your wife did years ago because you feel she didn't tell you, and you knew she slept with other people. Nelson, it was 4 other people that I didn't know about. I only knew about 2 of them. So that's 6 people, counting you 7. Right. Yeah, right. See, that's what I'm saying. Did it not bother you about the other 2 before you? But now there's 6 before you, and now it bothers you. Well, yeah. Would you not have dated her if you would have found out that she slept with 4 other guys prior to that? Or 6 guys, whatever it was. Yeah, 4, because there was 4 than 2 that he knew about. Well, yeah. Then why are you upset? Because she didn't tell me. Stop. Let's go back to the beginning of this conversation. Did you tell her about all the girls? You slept with more people than that. Come on, man. I said, one of them was a girl that I started dating. We never slept together or nothing. I said, but you slept with her. You guys were all drinking. Everybody was drinking. And I come in and she says, her thing was she was drunk. She didn't know. She thought it was me because I was in there with her. And I got up and ran a guy down to the drive-thru to get more beer. And I came back and that's what I found. Now, that could be the truth. But it's the fact that what he did. This is the same guy I'm talking to. You know, and I'm just like, whatever. And my thing is, I'm not going to be mad at the girl and not mad at the guy. I'm not mad at the guy and I'm not mad at the girl. We didn't stay together long after that anyways. Because, you know, she was one of them type that was very sexual active person. And I wasn't. I don't believe in that kind of stuff. I just think it's crazy. But you understand how arguments happen? Because why are you even going into a dark alley somewhere and trying to... To me, it's like, why? Why do you dwell on things that doesn't make any sense? Why do you hold grudges? I mean, why do we as people think it's okay to bring up past of things that you had no control over? Does it change who the person is today because you didn't know about something? Does that make her a liar? Does that make him a liar? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Well, what if you found out your wife today slept with 20 guys? Okay. What do you want me to do? That was her past. But I guarantee you one thing, her past is cleaner than my past. So if she slept with 50 people, that's her business. Wasn't mine. I didn't know her. Matter of fact, I don't even know why sometimes we even get to tell people about our past. Because it comes back to haunt you. Darlene come up and ask me something. If she found out something about my past and she come up and ask, most likely, she probably would go, yeah, well, I could see that. Because of how he lived. I don't make excuses, people. Why do we make excuses? You make excuses because sometimes... you look at when somebody's getting irritated or somebody's getting mad and the curse words come out, and sometimes, we're Christians and that, oh my gosh, you're swearing, you're this and that. But you ever go to say something and you slip up and the word come out, and then you hear the very ones that claim, oh, you're not very close to Jesus no more because you said a curse word. Oh, did you hear what Jonah said? She was over there just cussing. She said the shit word. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Hold on a minute. Marcy, did you know? Oh, I heard all about that. And then you'll be doing something and they'll stub it. Oh, hell. Ow. Ow. And they'll drop the shit word. Well, Nelson, you're cussing right now. Well, sometimes I do. I remember the day when I said, damn it. And it was like pin drops. He just cussed. He said, damn it. I said, would you like to know what Jesus told me? Not like I put the God in front of it. You know why I didn't put God in front of it? Because after what Jesus told me one day. When I was sitting there, I was so mad. And I dropped the GD word like crazy. And he said to me, why are you so mad? I said, because nothing's going right. It's ridiculous. And this is before I even started following Jesus. Well, why do you say this about my father? You want him to bring damnation to you. I don't understand why you want more damnation. If you're already upset by what's happening, you want him to bring more damnation to it. So you could be more upset. And when he told me that, I stood back and I said, you're not upset to the fact that I said the GD it. He said, no, because all you're doing is asking my father to make it worse. See, God's not offended by it, but we're offended by it. And he says, what is a curse word? It's a word. Look at one of your words can mean 2 or 3 different things. It's pretty bad when we got a slang dictionary to just describe words to us. Isn't that something? So I'm very careful of using that. I don't get mad. I mean, sometimes I don't like hearing it. I used to talk to a couple truck drivers that drove me crazy. And the one would do it, he would do it just to push buttons. And he was Jewish. And he would use the Jewish laws to benefit him. But he would just draw. I know it bothers you, Nelson, but GD, I know it bothers. I said, well, if you know it bothers me, then why are you doing it? It doesn't bother me. If you want God to bring damnation to your life, then I'll say it with you. And maybe if both of us says it, he'll send it faster. Why would you say that then? Why are you saying it? I'm just going to repeat it with you. Because if you want damnation to come there, I'll pray it with you. Does it make it right? Does it make it wrong? Because yeah, we shouldn't be talking like that because we know what the words mean and stuff like that. But is it enough for us to go into judgment? Should we gently correct them? Should somebody be gently correcting you every time you're doing something wrong? Depends on what it is. You see somebody actually going into full-blown sin things that they shouldn't be doing, like, good example, if you know that somebody's walking into a bar and you see it's a strip bar, maybe you probably should try to stop them. Or if you see somebody taking their last $50 and going to buy lottery tickets on the hope they're going to win that big giant prize, you might want to stop them and say, why don't you go buy the groceries you need first, and then what have you got left, then go buy a ticket. What is that noise out there? I don't know what the heck that guy's doing. That guy's just out there beating the crap out of the side of his tire, man. Like, maybe he bent his rim or something. He's trying to bang the rim back. It's never going to work. You damage those rims. You might as well start calling the guy to bring you a new one out, because man, it's usually probably, them rims are usually pretty toast. But, so anyways, it's a little bit different video. Hopefully this will make you really start looking at your life, and you know, just, even if you sing the song Jesus Loves Me, I just changed the words. Instead of Jesus loves little children, I say Jesus loves me, and this I know, for the Bible tells me so. And I really try to not argue anymore. I try to get to a point where that I do just smile, because I'm starting to sing that song, and I just stand there and smile because I know Jesus loves me. Jesus loves me for however I am. And I ask him every day to mold me and sculpt me and to change me. And I tell people all the time, if you're upset with me, I'm sorry, take it up with Jesus. Man, I've been asking him, and I think he's done pretty good from where I was at to where I'm at today. I truly do. I mean, I don't hold money like people do. I don't care if we got $50,000 in the bank. I don't care if we got $1 in the bank, as long as we're happy and the bills are paid and the mortgage is paid and we got food on the table. I don't care. If she wants to put it all into the savings, let her put it all into savings. It's her money anyways. I don't care what she does with it. Something happens to her, I'll decide then. Do I keep the house, or do I go to another company that I can just live out of the truck? Because the company I'm at now, I can't do that. Because I would have to go to a hotel, and I would save my drive time. Would that get old? Probably. So most likely I'd probably keep the house. Do I need such a big house? Most likely no, I don't. But I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to be, if I would stay in Ohio. Maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I'd go somewhere else. Maybe I'll go to Eden. I'm going there anyways. Who's on the roller coaster ride to go to Eden with me? We're gonna get on there and we're gonna take off, and the roller coaster's gonna go up and it's gonna come flying down, and we're just going to enjoy what God has next. And how many of you are getting off at the next stop? Bye-bye, roller coaster. He's finally lost it. I'm just trying to help you guys get through life. And like I said, one day somebody's going to say, this is what I'm going through. Have you ever gone through this? And I'm hoping one day I'm going to be able to say, nope, it's a new one. But how many, I'm going to end the video on this. How many of you remember Romper Room when she'd stand in that, hold that mirror up? I see Tony, I see Jacob, and you would get closer and closer. Every Saturday I'd get so close to that dang on TV, and I'm poking the TV, and she never seen me. Never called my name. So I do it myself. I see myself. That's actually where I got the idea to go stare in the mirror, because of Romper Room. Now you know. But anyways, God bless you guys. Just remember, sometimes you got to do something they like to do too. And please don't argue over money. It's not worth it. Money comes and goes. Happiness is priceless. Sometimes just cooking a meal, guys, cook a meal for your wife. You know, if your kids are older and they're not going to be home, they're with their friends or whatever, or the grandparents or whatever, you know, cook a meal for your wife. Wives, cook a meal for your husband. Just put your phones away. Rediscover each other. Start praying to God for what He wants you to do next. Nelson, no, you can't talk about divorce. Who am I to judge anybody, what anybody does? I'm telling you, if one day, if I decide to tell you my past, truly go into everything in my past, I guarantee you, most of you would never talk to me again. You would never watch these videos. You probably would tune in long enough to go, oh my gosh. But you know what? The power of it is Jesus Christ forgave me. His blood paid that price. I can't ever repay Him, but I can dang near sure try to do the best I can to bring as many people to His name and just to find Him and let Him do the rest. So strap that belt down and let's get to moving, doggies. We got a long journey to go. Maybe, hopefully, you are going to be getting off and going into heaven and not have to be left here. But if you're left here, look me up, little pilgrims. I'll be heading to Eden. I think I need some sleep. So anyways, God bless you guys. Love you. Until the next one.